Okay, welcome back with Happy Chappy. So today we're going to talk about energy and the vibration that you carry yourself into. And so what got me thinking about this was solicitors, lawyers, and how 2 out of 5, I believe it was, whatever the number was, in the next few years were intending to leave their jobs because of the pressure that's there upon them. And how to look at that. Look at that in your life, whatever your occupation be. Through this way of viewing, then you can start to understand something about how you feel and how everything out here can affect all in here. Especially when you're not aware of how it's connected. And so when you think of a lawyer, what are they doing? They're working for a system that is supposed to bring light to all in a protective way. So when you see somebody growing up in their teachings, their learnings, to become a lawyer, obviously there's a sense within them they want to protect. And so I'm not saying that all lawyers are like this, but I'm saying in the start, to begin to want to have that essence within them to protect others is there. And it grows and it can go into the light more so, or it can go into the dark. But we're going to look at how that brings light into dark. And so to begin with, it's light because they want to protect. And so what you find is they have to go into the darkness. And everything that they're trying to protect, they're coming against. That's causing the need for protection. And so what you will find is there's a lot of criminal action going on that they're trying to protect people from. But yet they're surrounded by it. And so they're going to feel the influences of that surrounding force of darkness with the actions that has already been taken by the people that they try to defend. And whatever that person has consumed through what has brought them to that point that they need that protection, then the lawyer is consuming that too. And so they're always consuming the darkness while fighting in the light to try to do better, not only for themselves but for all. And what you find is in that, because they started off in the light and going towards that, the darkness followed them. And so the more they got into the light to protect people, the more darkness that came at them. And so this is their path in their choice whether they keep with the light or they go dark, and they misuse their powers. Now they can go one way or the other. And through history we've found there is a split in everything, and the way the world works with patterns and that, there's two sides, so it's going to balance itself out. But it doesn't have to be that way. It can hold itself in a wholeness. And so understanding what the power is within you. So what I found, because it's an experience that I went through and something that I looked into, that I would enjoy in me doing this kind of thing, just through my history of how I like to look up files and documents, and were even at college that you would be give something to read where others wouldn't have read it, or maybe they did but they didn't see what I seen, because I would have read it and looked for specific things. And then when I would bring it to the table, it was told to me that, oh, it must be a mistake, but these were legal documents where it couldn't be a mistake. They had to be factual. And so while the teachers were covering up as it was a mistake, they were forgetting the fact that you can't have it out there if it's a mistake in the law system, because then you're not running by the law. But what we have is a system that is bringing light into dark and dark into light. And so what you get is a legal system that is filled with darkness, trying to prosecute others for doing things that was right or wrong, whoever sees it that way, through the judging by others, and trying to be controlled by a system that goes against the law, the true law of creation, of being, of living, of a system that was already created before time. And yet in time we find ourselves trying to create a system of laws within a law that goes against that law, because we're not flowing in the laws of creation, we're flowing in the laws that we create, which is in judgment, instead of flowing with the laws that has already been created, being in your wholeness. And so when we're not in that wholeness, what we're doing, we're stepping into the laws of man and his creation to take upon our decision making into judgment of others and what they do wrong and right. Now, of course, there's going to be some kind of a system all the time. But if the system rolled with the laws that's already here, the universal laws, and we held people towards them laws, what you would find is there'd be a more of a success in the light overpowering the dark. There'd be a more wholeness in each and every body, because they would have more of an understanding to who they are and to what all's happening out here and the law of everything. Yet, while we're in that law of everything that controls us and who we are and how we're competing against the laws that's outside of us, there's always a force pushed against each other, like two magnets pushing apart. And what we need is them two magnets to actually pull together. And so instead of making a law that goes against the law of all, we have created a law, a legal system that goes against the laws of all. And so when you see lawyers wanting to resign, you could see it in this way, where the influence of crime and everything that they're trying to keep on a down and out is coming against them, because these people out here in the world that is influenced by the law of everything within them and who they are in creation is fighting against a system that man has created of laws that goes against that natural law and who they are. And so there's always going to be a battle of some sort, of course, whether the system is running with the laws or not. But the majority that would pick up on who they are, while the frequency of a law is the same as the frequency that's within them by running by the law of everything, then they would flow with that a lot easier than seeing it as a conflicting law, where it seems to be a challenge. And what people like is to challenge themselves. And if you're not allowed to do something, they would intend to do it. And you see this from a young age. You tell a child not to touch something and they'll want to know why don't I touch it. Now they've got to touch it because you told them not to, so there has to be a reason. But if you're not given the reason, then they're going to want to touch it. And so what we get in a legal system is much like this. they don't give you the reasonings for their lawful behaviour. They just give you a result, in which would be jail, some kind of prosecution. But if our system was running with the laws of everything, then the vibration of the people would be running in the same flow of that system. And so it would be much easier for people to vibrate with and stay in the light of who they are. But yet, there's always that possibility that there's going to be a small vibration of people that aren't willing to look in that way. But it would be overpowered by the natural forces of the natural laws, which is the creating force of all. Anyway, this is just my view. You can put this into your perspective whatever way you wish to, your life and your whatever area you're in, and how that affects you in what job you're in, what part of your life that you're in, and how you're carrying out, and how everything around you takes effect on you, and how you interlink to that. And hopefully in this way that I've explained it, you can see how the influence of law with lawyers can infect them by the emotional attachment of other people who they're trying to protect, but also by who is being causing the disruption that they need to protect that person. And so they're getting both ends of the spectrum while having to deal with themselves. They're having to deal with a disruption out here in good and bad, which is fluctuating up and down and coming into who they are. And so they're put out of balance in who they are, while they started out trying to be the light to protect people. And so they become out of balance in who they are by all the disruptions of the people that they're interacting with and trying to protect from the energies that's within them that's been disrupted. So then the lawyer becomes disrupted in who they are. And so they're out of the natural laws and who they are because of the law that they try to support is not a natural flowing law. It's a man-made law because of how man would like to judge another. Instead of flowing with another and making laws flow with the natural law of who we are, and in that we bring back our balance to who we are. We be in a natural flow in the light. And when them laws would have to take action against the small majority that would be out of balance in who they were, would be people that would be not willing to flow in who they are. But if the majority's flowing, we know and we've seen in history when the majority holds a lie, for example, as a truth, it becomes a truth because everybody believes it, but it doesn't make it the truth. And just like that, when the majority is flowing with the light, but in this sense being in the truth, then whatever's left over in darkness, it's not a 100%, but it's a 99.9999% chance that that person or them persons is going to fall into the light with the rest because of the majority. And not only because of the majority, but because that flow is already within them. No matter how dark or how deep they're in that darkness, there's always that little spark, that little flicker of light within each and every one of us. They can attach on to something bigger, something more, if it's shown to them. And everyone is looking for that light within who they are and around them. But if they can't see it around them, it's going to be hard to find within them. And if we were all running in the flow of nature and the universal laws, you would find people would find it easier to get out of that darkness and attach to that light because they would see it around them. But we don't see that because we're following a legal system that is went against the natural laws. And so, in this sense, if we want a better world to live in, and of course this is just my view, then we got to follow the natural laws and not the laws of a legal system that comes against the natural laws. As I say, it's like two magnets pushing away from each other. We need them to pull together and change. And if we're going to keep a legal system to hold law, then it needs to change to support the natural laws, not just in who we are, but in what everything is. And so then we can bring light to all. As I say, for the third or fourth time, just my opinion. But hopefully this helps you in where you're at in your life. And to the lawyers. Not that I thought I'd ever be helping a lawyer in any sort of way. As it's something that I looked in my own life, a thought, a feeling about, would I do that? Could I do that? And as much as I enjoyed searching and finding things to break systems down, I also felt the pressure on me just doing that. And so to step into a lawyer position and to think of the pressure of that alone, and then you have the pressure of other people that you've got to protect and trying to fight for and battle for, I thought, well, I wouldn't take that energy. It's enough to take just looking up the material and finding systems that are, I find it a corruption because it goes against natural laws. And so when I find this, it's going against who I am. And so I find that disruption in me, and it's something that I have to bring balance to. And so if I'm finding it awkward about bringing that balance to myself, I have to look at other people and how that's going to affect me if I have other people that's close to me that I'm trying to protect while I'm trying to protect myself. And I thought, well, it's more easier just to protect myself. While I always want to protect another, but at a distance, because the closer they are to me and bringing their heaviness of darkness onto me, it's not something that I need. If I can sort it from a distance, then so be, which would take me away from being a lawyer or solicitor. But I get where a lawyer or solicitor wouldn't want to stay in their job for a lifetime, and to them who do stay in it for so long, well, you know, it's a praise to you that you should be given to yourself, especially if you stay in the light side. Now, if you're in the dark side, that's another question. But the system causes people to go like this. It's not so much the person, because the person drifts away from who they are. The system catches them and pulls them in, and you're either one way or the other. And it's not just people in law, it's everybody in life. Because we're fighting a battle against a system that does not flow with the universal laws. Where if it did, I'm sure you can see now it makes sense that people would flow a lot easier in life and enjoy life so much more with each other and with everything that's around them. And you would find people would attach into careers that they enjoy. They wouldn't be fighting the work that they go to and battling life in how they see work. They would be enjoying every day and every experience as it came to them, because they would be in that natural state, in balance in who they are and in balance in what all that they do. Okay, that's it for this. And thank you for watching this Happy Chat by Love and Peace.